What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiancé Before the 90 Days, Season 7, Episode 2, A Tale of Two Cities. Let's get into Tiger Lily and Adnan. Tiger Lily, to me, every time I see her and I hear her, she really reminds me of the Kardashians. Her movements, the way she talks, that soft but gravelly voice that they like to use. She just really like embodies the soul of the Kardashians to me. But anyway, so she is on her way to Jordan, and two of her friends are coming with her. Now, she told us in last week's episode that when she was married to her ex-husband did not allow her to have friends. And so her service people, as she called them, she said her service people became her friends. So the ones that did her hair, makeup, the people that worked for her, those are the ones that became her friends. And so two of them are going to be coming with her on her trip to Jordan. Basically, it's her glam squad. That's basically what it is. I'm pretty sure that she's going to be putting them to work because she already put them to work while they were on the plane. They had to glam her up before she landed. So while she's on her way to Jordan, we get a chance to meet Adnan. Adnan is a really good looking guy. I can see why he's a model. He definitely has the right look to be a model. He's 20 something years old. I think he's like 22 or 25 or something like that. And Tiger Lily is in her 40s. So whenever he talked about Tiger Lily initially, he would only mention her looks, how beautiful she was, her pretty eyes, her long hair. And from the get go, I always felt like the relationship between Tiger Lily and Adnan was very superficial. That the reason why um, the reason why they're still together, 4 months, 6 months later after meeting, is because they're very attracted to each other. They don't really talk about, they do say that they love each other and that they care for one another, but I don't know how you can love and care for one another when y'all have never really met in person and you've only known each other for a few months. So he talks a lot about her looks and how beautiful she is, etc. So he also tells us that he is a virgin. And what it comes down to me, it seems like that the reason why they're even getting married so quickly, because as soon as she lands, they're going to be getting married like that day or the day after. And it's all because they're not allowed to be physical with each other in Jordan if they're not married. And so it seems like they're only getting married so they can have an opportunity to be physical with one another. Because whenever they talk about marriage, they talk about how, well, we're not allowed to do this, we're not allowed to do that unless we're married. They don't talk about, well, we want to be married because, this man has really been there by my side. He's really proven to me what true love is. Or, this woman, when I needed her the most, she showed up for me, she supports me. It's nothing about that. It's always, well, because we can't get physical unless we're married, so we're going to be getting married. So, he says that he's still a virgin. This is going to be, his very first, I guess, for a lot of things. And his friends, Anand's friends, and his brother, I think, they think that he's really rushing into this. Like he doesn't really know this woman and he's going to hurry up and marry her. So I think that he's moving way too fast. Anand wants Tiger Lily to be a traditional Muslim woman. So he wants her to wear I don't know if he wants her to wear the traditional Muslim clothing, but he definitely does not want her, to be showing off a lot of body, a lot of skin. He wants her to be covered up. He doesn't want her to have male friends, which is crazy because one of the people that are coming with her is one of her male friends. He doesn't really want her to have male friends. So he's looking for her to be a traditional Muslim wife. And I don't know if Tiger Lily is aware of this because they haven't known each other very long. So I don't know if they really know what the other is expecting out of them. So I'm not sure if she really understands that this is what he's expecting. I know that she has an idea about the clothing, because he has expressed to her before, like whenever she would post certain pictures, he had told her that he didn't like, whatever she was wearing in these pictures. But I don't know, like, to what extent she truly understands, of what he's expecting her, what kind of a wife he's expecting her to be. Anon says that his word is going to be is what's going to rule. Like it's going to be his way or no way, and he's not going to be compromising, and he's not going to allow her to challenge him. So On the plane, like I said, she put her friends to work. They're glamming her up before she lands. After landing in Jordan, she goes straight to the bathroom, to get all spruced up. And she has him waiting over an hour. So the plane has landed. The passengers have come out. He's there with his friend. He's waiting for her to come out of the plane, and he doesn't see her. He's calling her, texting her. She's not responding. Over an hour goes by. He doesn't hear from her. He doesn't see her. Everybody comes out. The staff that works on the plane, they all come out. The pilots come out, and he still doesn't see Tiger Lily, hasn't heard from her or nothing. So he's getting kind of worried. But Tiger Lily's in the bathroom with her glam squad getting, spruced up for him. So after about an hour, she finally comes out of the bathroom. They meet. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. Whatever, whatever. They hug. But no, did they hug? Yeah, they did hug, but they didn't kiss. And she introduces him to her two friends, and he had mentioned, he tells us, he doesn't tell her, but he tells us how, yes, he did meet her two friends, and one of them is a man. And he said that, in the future, she's not going to be able to have any male friends. And then he also talks about her outfit, because she asked him, what do you think about what I'm wearing? And she had on a bodysuit that had like some minor cutouts around the stomach area. And he looked at her and he was like, it's okay, but I'm gonna let you know when you're wearing something that I don't think that's appropriate. So they all get in the car, Tiger Lily, Adnan, her two friends, and they don't really speak when they're in the car. So they're driving to the hotel to drop off her two friends, and there isn't much conversation between Tiger Lily and Adnan. And you would think that for two people who really don't know each other, who just met a few months prior and who are going to be getting married, you would think that they would not be able to shut up, because they'd be asking each other so many questions to try to learn as much as they could about one another. The friends had to intervene and ask questions, ask Anon questions, so that, they can get an idea of who he is, because Tiger Lily wasn't saying anything. She was just sitting there mum. So they asked him about, his upbringing. He talks about how he's one of 15 children. They asked him how many children does he want to have. He says he wants to have 5 kids. This was unknown to Tiger Lily. So Tiger Lily was like, what? You want to have 5 children? And she says in her confessional, I don't know how he expects us to have 5 kids, considering that I already have two, and also considering my age, because she's in her 40s. This is something they've never discussed. They've never discussed, if they're going to have kids, how many kids they're going to have. Never discussed this with each other before. So she also finds out that Anon wants to live both in the US and Jordan. He wants to travel between the two countries. So he's not going to be living in the United States exclusively. She didn't know this either. This information came out because her friends were asking, because she wasn't asking anything. And he wasn't really asking anything of her. And I'm like, what is going on here? I would be full of questions. I would be asking about his culture. I would be asking about him, his family. I'd be asking so many questions. I'd be so curious about him, because this man's about to be my husband. And he should have been asking her the same. But no, if it wasn't for the friends, I don't know what they would have done. They would not have known anything about each other. So Tiger Lily says, well, when she was talking about how she didn't know how he was going to be living in both Jordan and the United States, she says in her confessional, well, I'm not really worried about that, because, love is going to fix everything. She talks like a love lost 16-year-old. She talks like a teenager. Like, what are you talking about? Love is going to fix everything. Why don't you just talk about it with him? Just talk about it with him and say, well, I didn't expect you to want to live in two different countries. I don't know how feasible or how affordable that's going to be. Why don't you have these conversations? I don't know what's going on. And so their friends are extremely worried. They're like, okay, they don't know anything about each other. They're not wanting to know anything about each other. And they're going to be getting married in like a few hours. Like, does she not, is she crazy? Is Tiger Lily crazy for doing this? So they are in their hotel. I think it's the same day that she arrived, because it's nighttime now. So they're in their own hotel, and they're getting ready to go to the ceremony where they are going to sign the marriage book. So they're getting ready, and Tiger Lily has no idea what to expect, right? So on their, I forgot. So she gets ready. She comes out in her outfit, which looked like a black bodysuit, and it's got long sleeves. And she asked him, "Is this okay for the ceremony?" And he looks at her up and down, tells her to turn around, and he was like, "It's okay." And she's like, "I don't understand. I'm covered up." And he says, "Yes, you're covered up, but the outfit is tight. You know, you can see all of your body. You know, your body curves. Your outfit is a little bit too tight." But he does let her wear it. So on their way to the ceremony, he tells her that his family is going to be there. His mom, his brothers are all going to be there. She had no idea because she doesn't ask questions. And so she was like, "Oh my God, I didn't know that your family was going to be there. Wish you would have told me." And he was like, "Well, what difference does it make?" And she goes, "Well, I wasn't expecting your family to be there. Now I'm super nervous because I don't know how to greet them." And he tells her to relax. It's going to be okay. It's no big deal. You know, you can greet them however, just greet them normally. Just don't what did she say? What do you say? Don't hug my brothers. You can shake my brother's hands, but don't hug my brother. And I'm just like, this is bad. This is bad. This is so bad. And she says in her confessional, that she doesn't like how Adnan keeps bringing all of this new information on her. But ask questions, and then you wouldn't be so surprised. And Adnan said that because he was so busy getting things ready for their wedding, he had forgotten to mention to her that at the book signing ceremony, his family was going to be there because he was so busy running around with the wedding preparations. Y'all, I don't know. These people are so much in lust. It seems like that they're not even thinking straight. Y'all are about to get married and y'all have no idea who you're marrying. Moving on to Renee and Chitty. So on her way to she's on her way to Nigeria, packing up her stuff, and Renee tells us that she hopes that she doesn't get butt worms, because she says that Nigeria is dirty and she doesn't want to get butt worms. And I thought to myself, this is a very offensive thing to say. How can you say something like this about your soon-to-be husband's country? I thought it was really offensive for her to say something like that. So when she finally lands in Nigeria, she's at the airport. Chidi is there waiting for her with his brother-in-law, and she walks right past him. And so the brother-in-law has to chase her down and bring her back. So her and Chidi meet, and they hug, they kiss, and he's like feeling her, right? Because he's visually impaired. He's like touching her hair, touching her face, touching her body. Now, before they met, Renee told us in her confessional. No, it wasn't Renee. It was Chidi. Chidi told us in his confessional that the way that Renee described herself, she described herself as having long brown hair. She described herself as having hips, but that she was slim. So when he met her and he's touching her body, he tells her, "Oh, you're not slim, you're big." And she says, "Yeah, I'm just as tall as you are." And he's like, "I ain't talking about height, I'm talking about width. Width. You're big. You're not slim, you're big." And the look on her face, you could tell that she was embarrassed. And he says, "But that's fine because I like my women big. I like this body shape." So he was grateful that, she had a little bit of weight. Now, she's not big by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know what slim means to her or what slim means to him, but she is not big, okay? She's not big. And so, I guess, when she said slim, he was envisioning somebody who was extremely, extremely thin. I don't know. But he said that she was big and he liked that. And there's chemistry between them. And she cannot wait to get her hands all over him. She just can't wait for them to really get to know each other later on. But he has to tell her at some point that they're not going to be able to share a room because he wants to take things really slow. He doesn't want to rush into anything. So she doesn't have a problem, helping him out because the brother-in-law was like, you have to learn how to guide him and learn how to help him. And she had no problem. She jumped right into that role. She even tells us that she would get jealous whenever she would see that his sister or his brother-in-law would help him. She would get jealous of that because she wanted to be the one to help him. So they're on their way to Chidi's sister's house. And Renee is really anxious about meeting Chitty's sister Victoria, because a long time ago she had a premonition that she was going to meet her man's sister and it wasn't going to go well. And so she always had this thing in the back of her head that she wasn't going to get along with her man's sister. And the producers asked her in her confessional, why did you feel this way? Where did this premonition come from? She said she doesn't know where it came from, but it's a feeling that she had always had. So when she met Chitty's sister, Victoria, Victoria to me seemed genuinely excited and happy to meet her. But you can tell that Renee was kind of like not that enthusiastic. You can tell from her the look on her face that she really wasn't like that happy to meet the sister. So I feel like Renee really wants Chitty all to herself, and she wants to shape and mold him and control him. And she's going to try to like probably separate him from his family. She's probably going to talk about how they need to get their own place or their own hotel, or to hurry up and get to the United States as soon as possible so she can separate him from his family. That's what it seems like to me. I could be wrong, and I hope I am wrong for Chitty's sake. But it's, I don't understand like her talking about her being jealous, that her being jealous of his family helping him. You know, she doesn't, she was jealous of that because she wanted to be the one to help him. And then the fact that she already, before even meeting the sister, had already written her off as someone that she wasn't going to like because of this stupid premonition that she had years before. So it seems like, you know, she's not going to really try to ingratiate herself into his family. And she doesn't seem very welcoming to of his family at all. And so they're at the house, and um she takes a shower. She's able to get all cleaned up and everything. And eventually Chitty sits down with her and tells her that they're not going to be sleeping in the same room. His sister and her husband gave up their room for Renee. And she really didn't respond or react in any kind of way when Chitty told her that they were going to be sleeping in separate rooms. But in her confessional, she said that when he told her that, she felt very rejected. She said that I didn't travel 7,000 miles just to be alone. So she didn't like that at all, that they were going to have to be sleeping in separate rooms. I think that she's really, I don't know, I get this feeling about Renee that she really wants to try to turn Chitty against his family. And maybe she thinks that, you know, during, you know, pillow talk time, she can somehow try to manipulate his mind or whatever into wanting to be with her and her only, and to try to be away with from everybody else. I don't know. I don't understand why that would bother her. Y'all don't really know each other. Y'all just met for the very first time in person. Why wouldn't you want to just take it slow? Or at the very least, respect his wishes that he wants to take it slow, you know, to try to get to, for y'all to get to know each other better. Like, I don't understand like why that bothered her so much that they're going to be sleeping in separate rooms. You know, they're not. This is the first time they've ever met. Like, I don't understand why that bothered. And I think it's because of the fact that she wants to start brainwashing him ASAP. I could be wrong. That's just my personal opinion. It is just an opinion. This might be, you know, the love story of all love stories. Okay. This might work out better than anyone could ever expect or imagine. But so far, I feel like there's some bumps in the road with these two people, and it's looking kind of strange. This relationship was looking very strange to me. Um, Especially from Renee's, from her point of view of wanting to not, you know, like being upset that they have to sleep in separate rooms, not wanting to get to, not wanting to give the sister a chance. It's just a lot of weird stuff going on. Moving on to Lauren and Faith. So we meet Faith and we find out that she is like the housekeeping manager for some hotels. She lives at the hotel for free, so the money that she makes, she's able to send back to her family to help her family out. She tells us that she was born a boy named Rodney, and that all her life she always felt like a girl. She says that, so she's living her life as what she calls, or what they call in Asia, she's living her life as a lady boy. Now, she is a lady boy because she does not intend to have any sex reassignment surgery. So she wants to keep, you know, the original body parts that she was born with, but the only surgery, if she does have surgery, the only surgery that she's willing to have is to have like breast augmentation surgery. So she said that she met her special someone, Lauren, on a dating app. This is her very first boyfriend. And we see Faith meeting up with her friends, and they talk about Lauren. And Faith tells her friends that she doesn't know anything about Lauren's financial situation. She knows that he's got several odd jobs, like he does a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but she doesn't really know what his main source of income is because he doesn't have one. He doesn't have a main source of income because Lauren is broke, you know. He's pillar to post, doesn't have his own home. He picks up jobs here and there, does whatever he can to try to, I guess, try to make ends meet for himself, but he does not have a main source of income. So she's not even sure of like how he really like feels about her. She knows that she loves him, and you know, she's under the impression that he loves her as well, but obviously she has no idea what's in store for her when it comes to Lauren, because Lauren wants to have an open relationship. He wants Faith to be his one and only, his main, not his one and only, his main, but he also intends to have other open relationships. So it's the day of Lauren's arrival. He shows up and they meet each other. It's really sweet. Lauren also, not Lauren, Faith also has a couple of side jobs in addition to her main hotel job. And one of her side jobs is a magician. And so she presents him with a magical flower. And so it was really cute how she presented the flower to him. They were really happy to see each other. They hugged each other for a very, very long time. So it was a beautiful meeting, but we all know with Lauren and his shenanigans, it's about to go downhill pretty quickly. Moving on to Brian and Ingrid. So Brian has landed in Brazil. We get to meet Ingrid. Ingrid lives out in the country. Okay, she doesn't live in the main city. She lives on the outskirts of town somewhere. Um, we find out that she has two children from two different relationships. The father of her oldest son, who's 12 years old, she was married to him for some years, and then they divorced. And then she met the father of her youngest son. And when she was a couple of months pregnant, that man ended up leaving her. So he left her high and dry, pregnant with this child. So she's had a pretty rough life. She talks about struggling financially, all the things that she's been through. And she met Brian on a dating site. So when we see Ingrid, she's visiting one of her friends and they're talking about Brian. And the friend didn't know that Brian was in a wheelchair. So the friend is asking her, you know, are you going to be able to deal with someone who's in a wheelchair? And Ingrid says, you know, he tells me that he can do everything like a person who isn't in a wheelchair can do. He drives, you know, he's on that he does the sports, the rugby. He does everything. He does everything like a normal person, other than him being in a wheelchair. So she's like, yeah, I can handle it. I don't see any issue with him being in a wheelchair. So the friend asks if she's going to go to the US or will they remain in Brazil? And Ingrid says she's not sure. So the friend says, this is where I thought it got kind of interesting. So when Ingrid said that she's not sure if they're going to be living in Brazil or the United States, her friend says, oh, I know you'll go there because that's why you were looking for gringos, right? Okay, so when the friend said that, and the way that she said that, like, of course you're going to go to the United States because that's the reason why you're looking for gringos, looking for white men. It made her come off like a gold digger or like she's just trying to use someone to get to the United States when her friend said that. And so I thought that was really interesting. So the friend says, ask her, well, does your family know about him? She says, my mom knows, but my dad doesn't. And this storyline of not telling your parents about your relationship is tired and boring to me because I don't care. I don't want all of this. You know how they're going to do it. They're going to make this huge buildup of, it's going to be like one of the center points of their storyline is, will she tell her dad? If she tells her dad, how is he going to respond? How is she going to tell her dad? Like, I don't care about none of that. That's not interesting to me because we've seen it so many times. I hope it's not going to be like a focal point of Brian and Ingrid's story. So she takes the bus to go meet Brian at the airport because they're going to spend the night in the city before they go back to her hometown. So she gets to the airport, she meets Brian, and she tells him, you know, he's just as beautiful as, you know, she thought he was, as he's always been, or something like that. So they have a beautiful reunion, and she's completely unfazed by him being in a wheelchair. You know, Brian was really happy about that. Like, she really wasn't concerned or didn't bother her about him being in a wheelchair. So that's where the little segment ended. And that is where my review is going to end. So this was kind of like, you know, in a way, kind of like a filler episode. The people on this show are quite interesting, to say the least. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.